Escape of water is water damage arising from fixed tanks or pipes within the property. So for example, a burst pipe under the kitchen sink. It's important that tenants and landlords know where the stopcock is in order to turn off the water in the event of escape of water. Particularly in the winter months, it's best to insulate the water tank and lag your pipes. With regards to any piping or tanking in the loft, we would also say to leave the loft hatch open just to circulate the warm air throughout the property. We feel this is because a number of large properties in London have suffered major basement floodings. This has partly attributed because of the old London plumbing system, which does need to be updated.
I think first of all we've got to look at probably global warming with the temperature, the climate's changing. So we're getting a lot hotter summers, more extended, and then we are getting a lot of wet winters, and that causes shrinkage, especially in areas that are full of clay. The other thing that you've really also got to consider, and I appreciate as a country we haven't got enough properties for the people that we've got, but by putting more properties in place, there's less place for the water, the drainage to go, and that is also having a big impact. When we look at subsidence, a lot of the stuff that we have is to do with tree roots and trees on your property. Now, whether that's the tree roots affecting the property itself or the tree roots affecting the drainage that go to the property, that's where we see a lot of issues. What we suggest in this scenario is to get a professional tree surgeon to come and assess the tree, and whether they be pruning it or lopping it, we would advise that that be done. In addition, we do see a lot of council trees that do cause problems to our landlords' properties, and to make sure that you're in communication with the local authorities if a tree is in the vicinity, to make sure they are also following their obligations of making sure a tree surgeon is doing the same as what we would expect you to do. A little bit more difficult is you have neighbours' trees that could also affect your property, but in addition could also affect the neighbour's property. So we would advise you to speak to your neighbours and see whether they could also make sure that their trees are pruned and lopped on a regular basis.
Unfortunately, accidental damage can't be prevented. However, landlords can take precautions such as carrying out referencing checks, building a good relationship with tenants, keeping the property in a good state of repair, and opting for durability when installing any kitchen facilities or bathroom facilities.
For me, there's a lot more no deposit protection schemes out there. So in the past, the landlord would perhaps take £1,000 deposit off of a tenant, and in the event of an accidental damage claim, they could basically take that from the deposit and not claim off their insurance policy. With these no deposit schemes now, the landlords are not taking any form of deposit, and as a result are claiming on insurance policies instead. For me, what landlords have got to realise is that if you continue to use the insurance policy in this way, their premiums will go up. I think first of all there's a couple of areas. The normal one would be to make sure you've got fire alarms in all your properties and that they're tested regularly, and you show your tenants how to do this, because prevention obviously is better than cure at times. I think the other thing is we do see an increase or a spike in claims during the Christmas period, where people are overloading sockets for things like the Christmas lights and other lights on the windows or around the property. So make sure that you're advising tenants not to overload the sockets. I think the other side of it for me is the type of tenants you get. Unfortunately, we are seeing more arson claims on let properties, and I think if you was to tenant reference your tenant first and get a feel for that particular tenant, you may have a better idea whether they're the right fit for your property.
In the event that a storm is forecasted, we advise landlords to inspect the roof to make sure that there's no loose tiles that need repairing, clear the gutters and drains of any leaves or twigs, make sure that the fences are fixed securely and that the garden gate is in working order.